categorized as being ordinarily resident in Zambia. Refugees only become ordinary residents upon the cessation clause being effected and meeting the local integration criteria. Madam Speaker, with the proposed amendment, a person will be eligible to apply for citizenship. One has been illegally in Zambia, or is a deportee who unlawfully returns to Zambia, or is a refugee who is still under the protection of UNHCR. As per international standard, citizenship is never granted so early, overlooking the interests of the nation and the country. The House may wish to note that the rights of a citizen include others: the right to vote, to become a member of parliament, and also to contest in presidential elections. It is therefore of paramount importance that the law on citizenship is clear, concise, without any ambiguity. Proceeding with this proposed amendment of the Citizenship Act will jeopardize, I repeat, proceeding with this proposed amendment of the Citizenship Act will jeopardize security of our country due to the compromise that will arise in the vetting processes. All the refugees, regardless of where they are coming from, will start applying for Zambian citizenship upon proving that they have been residing in Zambia for a prescribed period. In view of the foregoing, I oppose and we oppose the proposed amendment. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Unfortunately, the Honorable Member for Rumezi, the Honorable Minister was responding to all the issues that were brought out by the Honorable Members. I'm going to invite the Honorable Member for Nalolo to wind up debate.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I would like to thank the chairperson for the committee that scrutinized this bill and all the debaters that have debated. And I'd like also to thank the witnesses who appeared before the committee and supported my amendment, which includes the United Nations High Commission for Refugees and the Law Association of Zambia and the Zambia Civil Liberties Union. Madam Speaker, this amendment is not a creation of my own thinking. The Constitution provides. It's like saying, Madam Speaker, the Constitution in Article 266 defines where a child is, anyone below 18. So the Child Code Bill cannot say anyone below 18 but has an NRC. It means it's introducing additional definitions. So while I would like to appreciate that some of the interesting views are that the inconsistency should be justified on the basis of harmonizing this with other subsidiary legislation. Madam Speaker, I'd also like to mention that a subsidiary legislation being consistent with the supreme law of the land is provided for by the supreme law of the land. Therefore, Madam Speaker, harmonizing this law does not automatically confer Zambian citizenship to refugees who apply. They still remain subservient to the provisions of the Citizenship Act. Madam Speaker, I would also like to conclude by saying that leaving this law in its current form has created a lot of confusion in normalizing citizenship of people who should qualify to be citizens. Children born here from refugees have to still, even if they are studying at the University of Zambia, apply for student permits, and they have to still undergo rigorous procedures which are not provided for in the Constitution. Madam Speaker, I would like to state from the onset that in its current form, this law could either have been amended here or can be amended here or can be subjected to the interpretation of the courts to justify the extent of the constitutionality of having a definition in subsidiary legislation which is inconsistent with the supreme law of the land. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I would like to also state that the Citizenship Act in its current form, without this amendment, does not reflect the intentions and the spirit of which the Constitution sought to address the lacunas in the law with regards to citizenship. With these few remarks, Madam Speaker, I would like to thank everyone who's participated in this discourse, technical as it may be. It places this House on a high pedestal to understand whether we are confident or able or have the courage enough to align our own laws to the Constitution, which we have sworn allegiance to. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. I put the question. The question is that the bill be now read the second time. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. No. The noes have it. The question is negatived. Therefore, the bill falls away. Next order.
The Constituency Development Fund Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21, 2023, committee stage.
The House will now resolve into committee.
The Constituency Development Fund Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2023. Clause 1, short title, any debate, any objection, clause 1 is agreed to. Clause 2, interpretation. The question is that clause 2 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that clause 2 be amended with the words as circulated.
The question is that clause 2 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate, any objection, amendment is agreed to. Clause 2 as amended stands part of the bill. Any further debate? I see now. I put the question. The question is that clause 2 as amended stands part of the bill. As many are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 2 as amended is ordered to stand as part of the bill. Clause 3, principles of management, disbursement and utilization of funds. Any debate, any objection? Clause 3 is agreed to. Clause 4, continuation of Constituency Development Fund Committee. The question is that clause 4 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that clause 4 be amended with words as circulated.
The question is that clause 4 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate, any objection? Amendment is agreed to. Clause 4 as amended. Any further debate? I see none. I put the question. The question is that clause 4 as amended stands part of the bill. As many are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 4 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill.
Clause 5, functions of committee. The question is that Clause 5 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Speaker, I beg to move that Clause 5 be amended with the words as circulated.
The question is that Clause 5 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate, any objection? Amendment is agreed to. Clause 5 as amended. Any further debate? I see none. I put the question. The question is that Clause 5 as amended stands part of the bill. As many are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 5 as amended is ordered to stand as part of the bill. Clause 6, tenure of office and vacancy. Any debate, any objection? Clause 6 is agreed to. Clause 7, proceedings of committee. The question is that Clause 7 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that Clause 7 be amended with words as circulated.
The question is that Clause 7 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate, any objection? Clause 7 is agreed to. Clause 8, allowances of members. Any debate, any objection? Clause 8 is agreed to. Clause 9, declaration of interest. Any debate, any objection? Clause 9 is agreed to. Clause 10, prohibition of publication or disclosure of information to an authorized person. Any debate, any objection? Clause 10 is agreed to. Clause 11, immunity. Any debate, any objection? Clause 11 is agreed to. Clause 12, establishment and functions of Provincial Constituency Development Fund Committee. The question is that Clause 12 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that Clause 12 be amended with the words as circulated.
The question is that Clause 12 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate, any objection? Amendment is agreed to. Clause 12 as amended. Any further debate? I see none. I put the question. The question is that Clause 12 as amended stands part of the bill. As many are of that opinion, say aye. Of the contrary, say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 12 as amended is ordered to stand as part of the bill. Clause 13, fund. Any debate, any objection? Clause 13 is agreed to. Clause 14, purpose of fund. The question is that Clause 14 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that Clause 14 be amended with words as circulated.
The question is that Clause 14 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate, any objection? Amendment is agreed to. Clause 14 as amended. Any further debate? I see none. I put the question. The question is that Clause 14 as amended stands part of the bill. As many are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 14 as amended is ordered to stand as part of the bill. Clause 15, administration of fund. Any debate and objection? Clause 15 is agreed to. Clause 16, constituency bank account. Any debate and objection? Clause 16 is agreed to. Clause 17, disbursement from fund and constituency account. The question is that Clause 17 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that Clause 17 be amended with words as circulated.
The question is that Clause 17 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate, any objection? Amendment is agreed to. Clause 17 as amended. Any further debate? I put the question. The question is that Clause 17 as amended stands part of the bill. As many are of that opinion, say aye. Of the contrary, say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 17 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 18, accountability and transparency. The question is that Clause 18 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that Clause 18 be amended with words as circulated.
The question is that Clause 8 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate on objection? Amendment is agreed to. Clause 18 as amended. Any further debate? I put the question. The question is that Clause 18 as amended stands part of the bill. As many are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 18 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 19, funds to be retained. Any debate, any objection? Clause 19 is agreed to. Clause 20, accounts and audit. Order. I'm hearing some noise. And you have just come. The question is that Clause 20 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
I beg to move, Mr. Speaker, that Clause 20 be amended with words as circulated.
The question is that Clause 20 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate, any objection? Amendment is agreed to. Clause 20 as amended. Any further debate? I see none. I put the question. The question is Clause 20 as amended stands part of the bill. As many are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 20 as amended is ordered to be part of the bill. Clause 21, annual report. Any debate, any objection? Clause 21 is agreed to. Clause 22, variation of funds. Any debate, any objection? Clause 22 is agreed to. Clause 23, invitation for projects proposals. Any debate, any objection? Clause 23 is agreed to. Clause 24, review of proposed projects list by committee. Any debate, any objection? Clause 24 is agreed to. Clause 25, submission of proposed project list to provincial committee. The question is that Clause 25 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that Clause 25 be amended with words as circulated.
The question is that Clause 5 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate, any objection? Amendment is agreed to. Clause 25 as amended. Any further debate? I put the question. The question is that Clause 25 as amended stands part of the bill. As many are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 25 as amended is ordered to stand as part of the bill. Clause 26, joint and incomplete project. Any debate, any objection? Clause 26 is agreed to. Clause 27, implementation of projects. Any debate, any objection? Clause 27 is agreed to. Clause 28, procurement of service and work Act number 8 of 2020. Any debate, any objection? Clause 28 is agreed to. Clause 29, implementation of disaster-related projects. The question is that Clause 29 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that Clause 29 be amended with words as circulated.
The question is that Clause 29 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate, any objection? The amendment is agreed to. Clause 29 as amended. Any further debate? I put the question. The question is that Clause 29 as amended stands part of the bill. As many as of that are that opinion say aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 29 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 30 appeals. The question is that clause 30 stands part of the bill. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that clause 30 be amended with the words as circulated.
The question is that clause 30 be amended with words as circulated. Any debate, any objection, amendment is agreed to. Clause 30 as amended. Any further debate? Mr. Kampyongo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, indeed, I want to just put it on record that we acknowledge the amendments that the Minister has moved out of consultations, and to just say that sticking matter which has remained, we need to see how it works out and leave the door open so that if it fails, that's a problem. You were quite here when we were making those amendments. Now we are saying,
Honorable.
So, Mr. Chairperson, and this is a matter that also concerns the chairperson. All of us who are elected members of parliament have got interest in this very important bill. And therefore, like I'm saying, we acknowledge those amendments that have been made, but that sticking matter, we certainly will get back to you and see how it works out, because it's our responsibility to make laws. But I would have loved to hear colleagues. Your role here as backbenchers colleagues is to do work together when it concerns all of us. It's not keeping quiet. The minister deserves your criticism, positive criticism. It's very critical, so that you don't die inside. Mr. Chairperson, I submit.
I put the question. The question is that clause 30 as amended stands part of the bill. As many are of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Clause 30 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 31, offences. Any debate and objection? Clause 31 is agreed to. Clause 32, provisions of the Act complementary. Any debate and objection? Clause 32 is agreed to. Clause 33, guidelines. Any debate and objection? Clause 33 is agreed to. Clause 34, regulations. Any debate and objection? Clause 34 is agreed to. Clause 35, repeal of Act number 11 of 2018, savings and transitional provisions. Any debate and objection? Clause 35 is agreed to. Long title. Any debate and objection? Long title is agreed to. The bill will be reported to the House as having passed through the committee with amendment. Madam Speaker, I have to report to the House that the committee of the whole House has gone through the Constituency Development Fund Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2023 with amendments.
Therefore, consideration of the report.
Madam Speaker, now.
Report to be considered now. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the report of the committee be adopted.
As no notice has been received of any further amendment, is it your will that the report of the committee be adopted? Any objection? I see none. Report adopted. Therefore, third reading.
Madam Speaker, right now, thank you.
Third reading of the bill to be taken now. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the bill be now read the third time.
The question is that the bill be now read the third time. Any debate? Any objection? The question is agreed to. Let the bill be read the third time.
The Constituency Development Fund Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21, 2023.
Thank you. Next order.
Thanks, His Excellency the President's address. Motion of 19th March, resumption of debates.
When the House adjourned yesterday, Wednesday, 27th March 2024, the House was considering the motion moved by the Honorable Member for Chama South, that the thanks of this Assembly be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in His Excellency the President's address. Any further debate? The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, I'm grateful to be given the opportunity to contribute to the speech of His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, President of the Republic of Zambia, delivered during the presentation of a report on the progress made in the application of our national values and principles on 15th March 2024. Madam Speaker, the speech by the President, among many important aspects, include morality, ethics. Government is committed to promoting morality and ethics among our people. Government is aware that alcohol and substance abuse continues to be a major concern throughout the country. The abuse of alcohol and substance has seen a rise in juvenile criminal gangs, often referred to as junkies. I would like to assure members of the public that we are doing everything possible to ensure that this menace that is being occasioned by junkies is brought to book. These unruly youths terrorize innocent citizens in our community. It is our responsibility as government to protect our people. The Zambia Police Service, working with other security wings, have continued to conduct operations to weed out these criminal elements. I must hasten to say, arresting these youths and taking them to jail is not a solution. We need to work together with all stakeholders to conduct public awareness programs to combat alcohol and substance abuse. The Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security recently launched the National Policy on Drugs and Substance Control. The policy provides for specific objectives and measures to combat substance abuse. It further provides a comprehensive framework for reducing the supply of and demand for illicit drugs and substances. Madam Speaker, the new Dawn administration remains committed to promoting democracy and constitutionalism as can be seen by its board decision to improve tools that promote respect for human rights, the rule of law, transparency, accountability, and the effective participation of citizens in national affairs. The new Dawn administration is aware of political insinuations by some opposition political parties and civil society organizations that the democratic space is shrinking. To the contrary, the democratic space in Zambia has actually expanded. We want to state, without fear of any contradiction, that we are coming out of an era where there was no democratic space. We are now creating democratic space for all players in the country. You are all aware of what is going on. They are able to do podcasts, press briefings. They can even address the press at police stations and at courts without fear of any harassment. In the past, such would have warranted the police using live ammunition and tear gas to disperse those who are doing such. People wearing opposition political party regalia can now go about their business and exercise their democratic right without being brutalized. Members of the public must be aware that the regalia that is so prominent in the country is the regalia of the opposition political parties. And nothing is being done to harass those individuals who are enjoying their rights, their newly found rights in this country. In the immediate past, it was going to be a death sentence for anyone to be wearing opposition party regalia. Madam Speaker, the Zambia Police Service has been advised and directed to ensure that police bonds after arrest are given within 48 hours. However, there are always conditionalities for giving a police bond. You have to comply by ensuring that you have sureties. If you don't, then it becomes difficult for the police service to provide the requisite police bond. Madam Speaker, government remains committed to upholding the principles of democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. Government will continue to foster an environment that encourages open discourse, freedom of expression, and ensure that law enforcement agencies operate within the confines of the law. We are going to ensure that those who err, even if they are members of the security wings, are taken to task and disciplinary action is taken if they are found wanting. Human dignity, equity, social justice, and non-discrimination are ranked high on the agenda of the New Dawn administration. The continued improvement of the conditions of inmates in our correctional facilities is a vivid testament of this tenet. Government is sparing no effort to make this principle become a reality by providing 25,000 mattresses and 50,000 blankets. The process of procuring 12,000 bunk beds is ongoing to ensure that the human dignity of our inmates is enhanced. To address child marriage and teenage pregnancy, the ministry through the Zambia Police Service is strictly enforcing the Children's Code Act of number 12 of 2022. The Zambia Police Service through the Victim Support Unit is also sensitizing the general public on the need to exercise their parental responsibility of protecting their children from all forms of child abuse and neglect. Madam Speaker, with regard to gender-based violence, government in collaboration with stakeholders has developed a national gender policy which was approved by Cabinet, and measures to curb gender-based violence include enactment of laws such as the Anti-Gender-Based Violence Act number 1 of 2011, the Gender Equity and Equality Act number 2022 of 2015, and several amendments that have been made to the Penal Code to stiffen the punishment of GBV perpetrators. the decentralization of victim support unit under the Zambia Police Service to all police stations and major police posts throughout the country. The ministry, through its various agencies, is also conducting training workshops for peer educators on alcohol, substance, and drug abuse to prevent and manage gender-based violence. In line with the Proud Zambian campaign, Madam Speaker, the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security will heed to the presidential directive to procure locally manufactured uniforms and other materials. The House may wish to note that some of the departments under my ministry have already started procuring materials such as uniforms, medals, and badges of ranks locally. With regards to the threat of cybersecurity crimes, government enacted the Cybersecurity and Cybercrime Act number 2 of 2021. The Act criminalizes computer-based offenses and network-related crime in line with the Penal Code of the Republic of Zambia. The threat of cybercrime is real, as online marketplaces have been on the rise. The ministry is working with other stakeholders to ensure that digital citizens and the online environment is trusted, safe, beneficial, and empowering to all individuals. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank you most sincerely for according me this opportunity to contribute to the presidential speech.
Sorry, the Honorable Member for Shiwangandu. Was the point of order so compelling?
Yes, Madam Speaker. Very compelling. Madam Speaker, my point of order is on the Honorable Minister who has just finished debating so well. And I was really getting encouraged with the design of debate. But I thought, Madam Speaker, I would have taken advantage of that time to speak against the violent activities that have recently occurred. Madam Speaker, the day before yesterday, a gentleman who is a presidential campaign member for the current head of state was attacked in Kanyama by his fellow members of the party. In Mukushi, Madam Speaker, during the elections for deputy mayor, 2 honorable councillors belonging to UPND were crowbarred
Order, Honorable
by
Member.
their own members.
Order, Honorable Member.
Madam Speaker, these are very recent issues that require the minister's attention, and we have got a duty to bring them to his attention. And Madam Speaker, as I speak today,
Now you are debating, Honorable Member.
I'm winding up my point of order, Madam Speaker.
What breach has been committed, Honorable Member?
Madam Speaker, the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security has made very interesting pronouncements.
What is
And
the
I
breach?
thought was in order not to take advantage to deal with these vices that are popping, including guiding his Inspector General of Police, who has been so much political.
Order, Honorable Member. I think you are now debating. There is no breach. What is the breach that was committed? You have failed to bring that. Therefore, your point of order is not admissible. And you cannot maybe think on behalf of the minister on what he wants to present or respond to. I'm sure he is responding to issues that were raised by the honorable members on the floor of this House. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, have you finished? Okay.
I was about to finish. Madam Speaker, I would like to
Your time
state,
is up, eh?
I would like to state, in reaction to the point of order, that this responsible government that does not segregate has taken measures. The cadres is referring to in Mukushi are in police cells. For we take action, unlike it was in the past where they were treating other party members to be sacred. Yeah.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister for Finance and National Planning.
I thank you. Technology is now a problem. Can somebody take, and then I can come back later while I organize this? Yes.
Information. Industrial information. Yes. Yeah.
Sorry. The Honorable Minister for Information and then the Honorable Minister of Justice.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. I wish to thank you, Madam Speaker, for according me this opportunity to deliver a vote of thanks to the address by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, on the progress made in the application of national values and principles in line with the constitutional requirements as provided under Article 8 and 9 of our Constitution. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the media fraternity and on behalf of the Minister of Information and indeed on my own behalf, allow me to join other honorable members who have debated before me in congratulating His Excellency the President for a well-delivered and positive speech to this august House. Madam Speaker, let me, for brevity of time, confine myself to a few among the national principles, values and principles that the President espoused to this House. And I will be speaking to the topic of good governance and integrity, morality and ethics, and if time permits, democracy and constitutionalism. Madam Speaker, at page 2, the President highlights on morality and ethics. The President's plea is for all citizens to uphold good morals and ethics in order to reduce the high prevalence of bad social vices on alcohol and substance abuse, teenage pregnancies, early child marriages, and gender-based violence. As a country, we need mindset change at all levels to reduce these vices, starting from household level to the leadership apex of this country. Madam Speaker, my ministry will therefore continue to urge media houses to disseminate information that inculcate national values and principles to the public, and also to continue to inform the nation the progress that this administration is making in the attainment or towards the attainment of these national values and principles. And because, Madam Speaker, my ministry is charged the responsibility of informing the nation the progress being made, let me take the opportunity to indicate that the President did not just come to this House to talk. He has actually walked the talk in the last 2 years and 9 months of his administration, thereby giving life and reality to these national values and principles. The President, therefore, has done the following to give efficacy to national values and principles. Number one, the President has upheld the principle of patriotism and national unity. And this can be seen from the selection of his cabinet and other appointments in government that is covering the entire country almost equally and equitably, unlike we used to see before when cabinet was one side of this country. Number two, the President promised free education, and the President has delivered as a leader of morality and integrity and ethics. Number three, the President promised retention of meal allowances to students at public universities. The President has delivered as a leader of morality and integrity. Number four, the President promised NAPSA partial withdrawal. The President and his leadership has delivered as a leader of morality and integrity. Number five, allowances to men and women in uniform who serve at peacekeeping missions, that is their money. The President signed and ensured that that is their money, and government had no business interfering in the allowances of the men and women in uniform. He has delivered as a leader of integrity and morality. Number six, the President promised to enhance CDF. He found it at 1.6. It is now beyond 30.7 million kwacha. The President has delivered as a leader of morality and integrity. Number seven, the fight against corruption. For the first time in 10 years, on the CPI, TIZ, Corruption Perception Index, Zambia is recording progress. For the very first time, the President, as a leader of morality, has delivered. Number eight, end of cadarism in markets and bus stops. Today, when you go to these places, it's like you're at Mandahill. There is peace. It's reigning supreme. The President has delivered on his word as a leader of morality and integrity, giving life to national values and principles. Number nine, rule of law and expanding democratic space. Madam Speaker, today the President came to speak about investigations, that investigating authorities should not arrest until they have satisfied themselves that there is a reasonable cause why someone should be arrested. And if someone is arrested, he or she should be given bond and or bail, as the case may be. This is unlike the way it was in the past, where police officers could not give bond, particularly to politically aligned persons who were appearing before them, as they would be retired in national interest. Where we are now, Madam Speaker, it is difficult to understand some people who are talking about shrinking democratic space. But it is understandable, Madam Speaker, and we have learned this from the media fraternity, that a clique of individuals who are supposed to be held accountable before the courts of law for the travesties they committed when they were in government are now busy recruiting innocent people, including men and women at the pulpit, to join a chorus and crusade of calling that there is shrinking democratic space in Zambia, when in fact, quite the contrary is the truth. There is expanding democratic space in Zambia. Madam Speaker, when there was shrinking democratic space in Zambia, I recall one incident where there was a by-election in Lokasha, where Honorable Muchereka and now Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises were arrested and charged for aggravated robbery when they had done nothing whatsoever. And they are my clients. Madam Speaker, there is nothing of such a thing happening now where in a by-election you get to arrest innocent people. Democratic space is expanding. Only that a clique who are fearing the law, they want to insulate themselves from being amenable to the vagaries of the law, and therefore conscripting innocent people, say, join in and say democratic space is shrinking in Zambia so that we are not arrested. Madam Speaker, the media shall continue to provide a platform to expose this kind of political gimmicks and report that progress on national values are being recorded under the leadership of President HH. Madam Speaker, freedom of the media. Today, Madam Speaker, the media is enjoying real freedom. Even when we have press Freedom Day, it means just that and nothing less. Madam Speaker, the President, as a man of integrity and morality, has delivered on the IMF promise packages, debt restructuring, job creation, about 60,000 jobs this far posted. In his own words, it's like he and the UPND has been in government for more than 10 years. When you look at all the milestones that have been attained, they have kept the word. The President has walked the talk. He is a man of morality and integrity, unlike those who every day are saying he has failed to deliver. Madam Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister, are you ready, Honorable Minister for Finance?
Yes, indeed, Madam Speaker, I'm ready. And I want to thank you for this chance to debate the speech of the President that he presented in this House last week. In the speech, the President came to fulfill a constitutional requirement to report progress being made by our nation in the application of national values. Madam Speaker, I wish to congratulate the President on a well-delivered statement. This was yet another testimony to the fact that this is a President with a clear vision and knows exactly what he wishes to achieve for his country. A nation of peace, unity, love, and prosperity. It is no wonder, Madam Speaker, that even at the regional and international levels, our country is once again receiving recognition and respect for the first time after many years. Madam Speaker, I'll make remarks on just two areas from the speech of the President by way of amplifying some of the points he made. Accordingly, I will touch on political and economic governance. On political governance and values, any honest observer will agree with me that in just over 2 years, the country has changed substantially. Madam Speaker, 2 years ago, you could predict accurately that at the next by-election, one or more people will be seriously injured or killed because of political violence. Injuring and killing each other is an affront on national values. Madam Speaker, numerous examples of what transpired can be given. Tires of motor vehicles of opposition campaigners would be slashed with knives, as I witnessed for myself in the by-election in Chiruvi. Madam Speaker, it was not uncommon those days for police to shoot live ammo during by-elections, as I witnessed myself in Sesheke at the by-election where Honorable Kangombe was elected. Guns and lost his father, yes, because of tear gas. Guns would be pointed at opposition campaigners, as I witnessed in a ward by-election in Luola, ward in Liua, 2020. Many other examples can be presented by colleagues here. Just a few years ago, lawlessness reigned in the country. We all remember the unfortunate instance when innocent lives were lost at the hands of the police. Madam Speaker, we all remember how cadres took over public places like markets, streets, and bus stops. Farmers had no chance to freely sell their produce at markets because PF cadres would force them to accept that the cadres, must sell their products for them. In other words, no farmer was free to sell their products because they would be forced that they are intermediaries. Please remember, Madam Speaker, that under the road traffic laws, a given motor vehicle number plate can only be assigned to one and only one vehicle. And yet, by 2021, one could meet many, such as 10 or 15 motor vehicles, all with one number plate, ECL 2021. The police knew this, but they were scared to enforce the law. These unfortunate incidents are overwhelmingly now history. The country is now peaceful and orderly. Any attempts to introduce lawlessness and violence immediately get seriously curtailed, as we just heard from the Minister of Home Affairs and what transpired in Mkushi. Madam Speaker, farmers are once again free to sell their produce at markets, and no one fears anymore that by the time you wake up in the morning, politically connected cadres would have illegally invaded your farm and settled on your land in the morning. These positive changes in just 2 years in the manner by which this country is administered is truly remarkable and reflects qualitative improvement in leadership. This is a practical demonstration of progress being made in the application of national values. Madam Speaker, the improvements in the economic management of the country are truly amazing. 2 years ago, nearly all the key economic indicators were pointing in the wrong direction. Amidst all this, the President said he is going to fix the problems. Madam Speaker, this country found a debt-ridden country, huge amounts of debt. This has been fixed as we have been celebrating this week. We found two of the mining giants on their knees, with the other two on the verge of being on their knees or so. This has just been largely fixed, again, as we have been celebrating this week with the reopening of Mopani. We found a country where most of the children failed to go to school because their parents could not afford to pay for them. Today, the children go to school because the government pays for them. We found very few teachers. We have now hired teachers. We found unhappy farmers because they were paid too little for their produce, and even then, it would take several months or years before they could get paid. Today, the farmers' prices have improved, and as the Minister of Agriculture said this week, farmers are paid right on time. Over 2 years ago, confidence in the economy was very low, hence the little investment that occurred, resulting in little creation of jobs, and in fact, as in the case of the mining industry, loss of jobs. Today, confidence by investors has risen. This is why it has been possible to get investors in big industries such as Mopani, the expansion of FQM and Barrick Gold, and, of course, the new findings at Mingomba and many others. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, President Chilema was elected into office on the promise to fix things. In my statement this morning, this afternoon, I've provided clear examples of the many things that the President has already fixed. This is progress on the application of national values, and I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Justice.
Madam Speaker, thank you for according me the privilege to speak on the motion of thanks on His Excellency, the President's address to Parliament on the progress made in the application of the national values and principles. Madam Speaker, permit me to first and foremost start by thanking His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, most sincerely for the presidential speech on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. National values and principles are a cornerstone on which this country is anchored, and the strides made thus far, as already elaborated by the honorable members that have spoken before me, paint a bright and formidable future for our country, of which I'm proud to be a part of, but also have the privilege to serve as part of the New Dawn administration led by His Excellency. Madam Speaker, I will endeavor to compress into my brief submission the statement on behalf of the Ministry of Justice as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. As the Ministry of Justice, Madam Speaker, we reiterate our unwavering commitment of playing our role most efficiently and effectively in order to ensure the actualization of the national values and principles. To this end, Madam Speaker, we are committed to ensuring access to justice, the effective administration of justice, and the application of human rights and good governance in all spheres of the country, as has already been demonstrated. You will recall that His Excellency the President underscored the need to end early child marriages and in this regard, the Ministry of Justice continues to partner with other ministries, such as the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services, in strengthening the legal framework. The Ministry of Justice is currently working with the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services by providing technical expertise in the formulation of statutory instruments to enhance the effectiveness of the Children's Code Act number 12 of 2022. Madam Speaker, patriotism and national unity is an integral part of a thriving nation. To this end, the Ministry of Justice continues to review the statute book of which the ministry is a custodian in order to enhance patriotism and national unity through the legislation and also to seal any existing gaps. The Ministry of Justice will therefore continue to present before this August House legislation that supports this pillar on behalf of the New Dawn government. Madam Speaker, democracy and constitutionalism are integral to the functions that are placed under the Ministry of Justice. The statute book is anchored on the Constitution, Chapter 1 of the Laws of Zambia, and to this end, the Ministry of Justice continues to ensure protection of the Constitution. As stated by His Excellency the President, the Judicial Training Institute of Zambia Act number 14 of 2023 has since been enacted with the aim of ensuring continuous professional development for judges, magistrates, and judicial officers in the country. Therefore, implementation of this law will indeed lead to a more efficient and effective judicial system in the country upon which to anchor our very principles that we believe in as enshrined in the Constitution. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Justice played a pivotal role in providing legal expertise in the promulgation of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime, Fund and Property Management Regulations 2023, Statutory Instrument number 13 of 2023. and the Criminal Procedure Code, Economic and Financial Crimes Court Rules 2024, Statutory Instrument number 10 of the said year. These pieces of legislation will indeed ensure the proper management of forfeited assets and the quick determination of economic and financial crimes in the country, thereby fostering the essence of our national values and principles. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Justice has continued to look into matters of asset recovery so as to ensure a more robust legal framework, as well as mechanisms of curbing corruption in the country. And to this end, the legal framework is being studied and revised, and further legislation will be brought before this August House in due course. May I once again, Madam Speaker, as I conclude, thank His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia for his great leadership that is clearly evident from the progress made thus far in the application of the national values and principles. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Justice wishes to reiterate its commitment to ensuring the application of the national values and principles as ably guided by His Excellency the President during his speech. Madam Speaker, briefly moving on to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Let me begin by stating, Madam Speaker, that His Excellency the President's address resonates with the principles and guidelines governing Zambia's foreign policy. The national values and principles enshrined in the foreign policy aim to safeguard the country's social, political, economic, security, and cultural interests. The values and principles also aim at enhancing Zambia's interaction and cooperation with the international community at both bilateral and multilateral levels. Madam Speaker, the application of its foreign policy, in the application of its foreign policy, Zambia plays a significant role in fostering peace, security, and stability in the region through its commitment to national values and principles. Its adherence to democratic governance, respect for human rights, and the promotion of peaceful conflict resolution mechanisms enhances its credibility and profile within the region. By upholding these values, Zambia contributes to regional stability and serves as a model for other nations in the region and indeed the world over. In the recognition of her efforts, Zambia is currently the chair of the SADC organ on politics, defense and security, cooperation, and the Commercial Authority. Madam Speaker, emanating from the application of national values and principles by our current president, our current leadership, President Hakainde Hichilema, takes the 5th position in the ranking of Africa's best performing presidents, as cited by the publication known as Business Day. President Hichilema is regarded to have embraced accountability and transparency in his governance, dedicated to democratic principles and human rights. What better way of espousing our principles than taking such a principled stance? Further, Zambia has been named among the top 3 most democratic countries in the world by VDEM. This shows commitment to our deepening democracy and constitutionalism, which is a way through which people can be assured of their freedoms and the right to participate in decision-making. Indeed, as has already been put on the floor of this House, one cannot in any form or way suggest that there is a shrinking democracy in this country. To the contrary, democracy is expanding, and internationally we are recognized as one of those countries that are a beacon on the continent and beyond. Madam Speaker, President Hichilema is the African Union champion on ending early child marriages, as I mentioned earlier before, a position which is consistent with the President's pronouncements in his speech on national values and principles, where he emphasized the need to fight early child marriages, ending teenage pregnancy, curtailing alcohol and substance abuse, among other vices affecting the younger generation. The foregoing examples have contributed to the heightening of Zambia's positive perception in the international community. Zambia continues to be seen as a significant player in the regional, continental, and global affairs. This has created an enabling environment and a platform for the promotion of trade and investment opportunities to participate in advancing the political and development agenda of our country. In my concluding remarks in this particular regard, I wish to highlight that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation remains steadfast in playing its facilitatory role in the development of various sectors of our country by ensuring that our national values and principles are well interpreted to the international community through our missions abroad and other platforms. May I, in this final statement, Madam Speaker, speak to the two ministries and reaffirm our commitment to upholding the constitutional values. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister for Local Government.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to debate the President's speech on the application of national values and principles. I'll be very quick in order to accommodate other colleagues. Madam, the President spoke very passionately about our flagship program, being the Constituency Development Fund, and how it seeks to restore equity, restore social justice among our citizens. The President put emphasis on the fact that this government has done its best and is still willing to do more to bring the children back into school. And not only into school, Madam Speaker, but also to create that conducive learning environment. And under the Constituency Development Fund, the President made a decree to make sure that he did not want to see any child sitting on the floor of a classroom by end of this year. A directive that has been well received by all members of Parliament who are an integral part of the Constituency Development Fund Committee. Madam, under this particular program, we have seen the construction of classroom blocks, and we have seen the influx of children that have come back into the schooling space, indicating that there was something that was amiss from before, and that our children were left to and relegated to oblivion, so to speak, because, as you know, education is the one only equalizer among citizens. Depending on what is contained in your grey matter, you can thrive if you are given an opportunity. What the President did by making this decree, Madam Speaker, is to stitch the fabric of this country, to make sure that, as against how the trend was in the past, of a country that was ignoring the production of vagabonds, children living off the wall, children living in the street, no love at home, the President decided to direct all of us to make sure that we provide this. He did not stop there, Madam Speaker. He also created a platform for those children who could not proceed into conventional learning, such as training to be teachers, lawyers, doctors, into skills training. This is a fully fledged program under the Constituency Development Fund, and we can see more and more children churning out of school as accomplished human beings who are going to be self-employed, either by them getting a skill to be plumbers, to be electricians, and to be self-employed, something that is critically important. You know very well, Madam Speaker, that this country has had a very high unemployment rate. And so the President, in his initiative to do that, has helped us quite a bit. The livelihood of children, those who ordinarily would be emptied into the street, has benefited from this novel idea, which is great, the Constituency Development Fund. You saw this afternoon and yesterday how emotions were charged around who must take charge, who should participate in the Constituency Development Fund, identifications of projects, and also disbursements of funds. That shows you, Madam Speaker, that the idea of the President to fiscally decentralize money from the center to the district to the sub-national levels is bearing fruit only 2.5 years after we took office. Madam Speaker, the President has also mentioned the issue about giving counsel and warning to the beneficiaries of the grants facility of the CDF. to give counsel and warning to the beneficiaries of the loans of the CDF that they must not be wasteful. They must take advantage of this platform, which was non-existent from before, ever since Adam and Eve. This is the first time that citizens can go in their local authorities, apply for a loan to the tune of 200,000 kwacha, and get grants in cooperatives in order for them to uplift their living standard. Remember, this particular program, Madam Speaker, is aimed at alleviating poverty and also to help create wealth among our citizens. The President spoke about the integrated development planning and also the special planning among our urban settings. He was very passionate that going forward, there should be no clutter, there should be no unplanned settlements, and that the settlements that are already there must be replanned and conform to the idea of urban renewal. Madam, the President also did speak about the outbreak of disease as a result of the unplanned settlement and failure to plan human settlement for their dignity. And to this effect, we have been directed to make sure that we start upgrading these, I was going to call them something else. They're called shanty compounds, but I'll call them unplanned settlements, in order to safeguard the health of our people and leave them to live in sanitary conditions. Madam, the President also, as I finish, did speak to the issue of the traditional leadership. Madam, when he took office, the President reprofiled the Ministry of Chiefs and Traditional Affairs into a department in the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. Some people lamented and said he's denigrating the importance of chiefs. But alas, Madam Speaker, what we see today is that in the first 2 years, the Royal Highnesses have benefited a total of 110 palaces. Right now, as I'm speaking, the countryside where the chiefs live is a construction site in this country. The other colleagues who were there before us did 14 palaces in 10 years. We have managed to do 110 palaces in just 16 months after we settled down. There's so much that can be spoken about the President's speech, but for now, allow me to allow my colleague ministers to also share their insight of the President's speech.
The Honorable Minister for Technology and Science, then we'll add some people from the provinces as well.
Madam Speaker, just a brief contribution to the speech by the President on national values and principles. The importance of molding the character of the nation, transforming lives and building trust. A few examples, Madam Speaker, of the progress that has been made so far. Number one, the Minister of Finance alluded to the debt restructuring. What we must learn, Madam Speaker, is that Zambia is the first African country under the G20 debt restructuring framework to be able to graduate and obtain debt restructuring. So we are no longer part of those countries that are still struggling in the terrain of debt default. Madam Speaker, it is also important to note that in the Ministry of Technology, anchoring the things that are happening, we are in the bracket number 4 of the 18 regional countries in the region. Madam Speaker, it is also gratifying that yesterday President Masisi of Botswana said, well done. It is pleasing to have a neighbor that is prudent and disciplined. That defines the values and principles. Madam Speaker, number 2, digital liberation and democracy. A practical example, Madam Speaker, one of our female leading fintech, who has now operations not only in Zambia, in South Africa, Kenya, and Zimbabwe, empowering over 30,000 businesses and youths, raising venture capital in excess of $11 million, having started with $5,000, today, Madam Speaker, valued at $138 million US. That is transforming life and building trust and confidence. Madam Speaker, we have delivered 3 digital transformation centers in Chongwe, in Chisamba, and in Testeji to support the women and girls. And one of the things that we're able to find out, Madam Speaker, is a summary that was made by one of the recipients, a lady called Doreen, that you have brought digital to my labs. I do village banking. From now on, there will be transparency, and people will not be asking me how much you are making, because you have brought digital to my labs. A young girl also confessed that by bringing digital to her labs, she was able to see in real time the shape of the heart. 3, Madam Speaker, is that Zambia is back into the Champions League digitally. Madam Speaker, the United Nations has selected 9 countries within Africa where they have set aside $1 billion for digital transformation. Out of the 9 countries, Zambia is one of them, meaning that we are in the digital Champions League. Zambia has been selected, Madam Speaker, to anchor mine tech. Nigeria will anchor fintech. Rwanda will anchor health tech. So, Madam Speaker, all we are saying is that we are now truly back in the Champions League, and thanks to HH, I thank you.
Thank you.
Said wow.
Honorable Ministers, we have to adjourn by 16:40. I think the people are tired. So I'm going to allow Her Honor the Vice President, before the move of the motion winds up. Her Honor the Vice President.
Madam Speaker, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the debate on the address to this august House by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to the 3rd session of the 13th National Assembly on Friday, 15th March 2024, on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. Allow me to begin by thanking God Almighty for His continued protection of our country. May I also extend my sincere gratitude to His Excellency, the President, for his profound and well-delivered message to the nation on the progress made in the application of the national values and principles for society transformation and national development. Madam Speaker, the President highlighted the importance of the national values and principles by stating that they mold the character of our nation. They influence our conduct as individuals and as society. They also guide the development and implementation of state policy. It is gratifying to note that most members of Parliament who have contributed to this motion are appreciative and agree with the report of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hichilema. Madam Speaker, on morality, I hear some members, particularly the Honourable Member for Ron, who raised the concern on the long distances children cover to reach the nearest school as one of the contributing factors to the inequalities.
Order, honourable members, order.
The factors that lead to teenage pregnancies, early marriages, alcohol abuse, drug and substance abuse, and school-going children are subjected to these vices. This, indeed, Madam Speaker, is important and is supposed to be addressed with responsive consideration by all well-meaning and people-focused politicians like the President and the UPND. This is why the new Dawn government, under the caring leadership of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, has decided to implement the free education policy and has increased the Constituency Development Fund using an equality scale. A number of classrooms are being constructed, including the one in Ron that the Honourable Member referred to. This is being done under CDF. This is a practical vaccine to reducing distances between schools. This has created an opportunity for children who could not afford to access school due to long distances and unbearable fees to go back into school. Therefore, I wish to congratulate the honourable members and particularly the honourable member for responding quickly to the demands and needs of their constituencies. This behaviour, this act of constructing school classrooms and other facilities related to education must be emulated by all honourable members, particularly those that are not doing so, because some reports are indicating that the work of CDF is not going on well. That CDF, honourable members, don't continuously say this is money for the members of Parliament. This is money for the constituents. This is money for the people. Maybe that's why we are not using the money, you know, as quickly as we can, because we want to see it as our money. It is money for the people, and therefore let us use it. The honourable member for Chasefo constituency raised concern on the dangers of corruption and lamented the evils associated with these selfish acts perpetrated by irresponsible citizens. The Honourable should remain assured that the new Dawn government, under the able and transparent leadership of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, leadership, corruption has been defined as cancerous and retrogressive wicked act against the Zambian people. Corruption is an orchestrated means to limiting development. This is the reason why this government has decided to face corruption head-on with all the existing means to uproot it out of our management and the governance system of our nation and the entire society. One of the evident efforts in ending corruption is the intentional approval of the law by Parliament to reduce the time of prosecuting reducing time of prosecuting and arresting culprits involved in corruption. There will be no more go on and on and on. Now, very, very soon, we will see anybody that is really guilty, found guilty. There is also, I think we have all seen that the corruption index by Transparency International has graded Zambia, has actually rated it from 37 to 33. This is wonderful. It is showing that this government is fighting corruption vigorously, and we will uproot it. Madam Speaker, on patriotism and national unity, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Isoka constituency raised concern on the indiscriminate vandalism and theft taking place on unfinished developmental projects involving, she mentioned, Michael Sata Girls Secondary School, Pomushindu University, and Office of the Auditor General, that is in Muchinga Province. The Honourable is aware that safeguarding government and private assets is one of the surest indicators of determining how patriotic the community is to their own country. It is a value we should see grow. For community members to reach this level of conscious resilience requires versatile community leadership who are capable of frequently engaging the community and hold community-based development conversations. My question would be, to what extent are honourable members involved in building patriotic culture among the citizens in their constituencies? We, honourable members, become too political and forget the real values. We forget the real principles that will change the face of our country and give our people a positive attitude towards common property and common good. Patriotism towards our public and private assets in our country will only be achieved when you and me decide to take a service front into matters of our national development. The safety of the facilities in question lies in the domain of the communities in which the facilities are designed. Let me refer to the Honourable Member for Lunte, who talked about the absence of democracy and constitutionalism in the country. The Honourable may hold his opinion, but really, Madam Speaker, just 36 months ago, if we look back and look at constitutionalism and democracy, I think that we should agree that things have changed. That is why today the VDEM can rank Zambia as one of the most democratic nations. It is because they are watching. Another honourable member for Lukasha did question what criteria the VDEM used in order to grade Zambia as one of the most democratic countries on our continent. Really, we are not locked up as a nation. What is happening here is being observed by the entire world, the entire region, and they can see that indeed things have changed. Today, people as only the VP, Waikara. Madam Speaker, anybody can see. I think I've heard colleagues debate. When we look just 36 months ago, Madam Speaker, if anybody dared, Lunte talked of absence of the rights, freedom of expression, freedom of association. If that happened, you dared 36 months ago, which some of us did. You made aggressive police in misapplication of the public order. The ruthless. If not, you made the cadres from PF, who came wielding every form of weapon. Madam, the country is on the right trajectory in terms of ensuring that our values and principles are adhered to. We need to move in the right manner. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Chama South wind up debate within the allocated time.
Thank you,
Madam Speaker, let me thank all the debaters. Indeed, what His Excellency presented to this august House was all the truth, factual and things that we as members of Parliament are seeing happening on the ground. Madam Speaker, as I wind up this debate, I want to urge and encourage His Excellency the President and his cabinet that theirs is to ensure that the suffering of the people are alleviated. As a result, they should not pay attention to destructive politics. We only have one Zambia. If this cabinet, this government delivers, it is the people of Zambia that will benefit. Madam Speaker, the people of Copper Belt, hope has been restored there. They might not see the benefit immediately because processes have to be followed. We also know, Madam Speaker, that due to drought, as mentioned by the President, all Zambians should be patient. We are looking at the vision of the President. We elected leaders have confidence in this President. We want to urge all Zambians to have confidence in the vision of this President. Therefore, colleagues, as we adjourn today, can we go to our people and tell them the truth, the impact of the drought and many other challenges the country is facing, and work together to ensure that we alleviate the sufferings or the challenges which are presented by nature. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you. I put the question. The question is that the thanks of this assembly be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in His Excellency the President's address. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it, and the question is resolved in the affirmative. Her Honor, the Vice President, adjournment.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House do now adjourn.
The question is that the House do now adjourn. Any debate? Any objection? The question is agreed to. The House is now adjourned. Sine die.
Thank you so much. You're still watching Parliament television. We continue bringing Parliament closer to you, and the House has adjourned sine die. So we quickly take a look at the business which was transacted on the floor of the House today, 28th March 2024. So when on the order paper for today, we had one motion which was moved by Ms. Sylvester Sefulo. She is the Constituency Member of Parliament. She did urge the House to adopt the report of the Committee on National Economy, Trade and Labour Matters on the ratification of the international agreement for the establishment of the African Finance Corporation and its constitutive instruments, namely the Charter, the Establishment Agreement and the Headquarters Agreement for the third session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Monday, 25th March 2024. So this report was adopted. Thereafter, the House went on to consider the Citizens of Zambia Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2023. So the bill fell away after it was negatived. The Constituency Development Fund Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2023, passed all the stages and third reading. Thereafter, there was a resumption of debate to the motion of His Excellency the President's address that the thanks of this Assembly be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in His Excellency the President's address, and this is the motion which was moved by Mr. Davison Mungando, who is a Chama South member of Parliament, the motion of 19th March 2024. So thereafter, Madam Speaker did render a ruling on a complaint by Mr. Emmanuel Banda, Member of Parliament for Muchinga Constituency, against Ms. J.N. Chisenga. Ms. J.N. Chisenga, Member of Parliament for Mambilima Constituency, for her conduct during the President's address to the House on Friday, 15th March 2024. So in rendering her ruling, Madam Speaker stated that considering the seriousness of the offence committed by Mrs. J.N. Chisenga MP, and in view of the various authorities and precedent she placed reliance on, she has, in exercise of her powers under Section 28, Part 2 of the National Assembly Powers and Privileges Act, decided to suspend Ms. J.N. Chisenga MP from the service of the National Assembly for the period of 30 days. Thereafter, Madam First Deputy Speaker did permit the Minister of Technology and Science to render a ministerial statement on status of construction and upgrading of mobile communication towers. So the Minister, Honorable Minister, did say that in the year 2023, the ICT sector experienced a growth of 19.6% from 15.2% in 2022, reflecting the dynamic nature of technology evolution. He said that this growth trajectory continued its upward trend and underscores the resilience and vitality of the ICT industry in driving economic development and fostering digital transformation. The Minister did say that in terms of connectivity, the nation has witnessed a surge in mobile subscriptions from 9.4 million in 2022 to 12.7 million in 2023. He further stated that internet subscriptions experienced a substantial growth, rising from 11.1 million in 2022 to 12.6 million in 2023. The Minister further stated that the figures reflect the increasing digital inclusion and connectivity among citizens, paving the way for the greater access